Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone around the world. Welcome
Yeah.
to Women's Voices in Tourism, Part 3. Now, during the 3 parts of this particular webinar, we have been looking at all of the different women who are involved in tourism in the world. We have women who are very busy running huge tour companies, and we have women who are the only one in the whole country that are trying to do tourism at all. We had a woman from Kuwait where there's no tourism, and she was undergoing tourism by herself, and I had to give her a lot of credit. Every single woman in this webinar is an intricate facet in the incredible gemstone that is travel. Now, one thing we've had to look at is that some 57% of people that are involved in tourism are women. But who are they? Often they're the ones that are underpaid. They're the ones that are the chambermaids. They are the ones that are struggling. And so one of the purposes of this webinar is to elevate the position of women in travel. And with all of the speakers we have here over these 3 times, and it will be ongoing, we can see what a difference that women can make. And of course, as women do better in the world, as they do better in tourism, then the economy grows and there's more peace and there's just more happiness in that particular country. Some of you are watching this live on Zoom, but most of you are watching it on Facebook or Instagram or YouTube, and it is available forever. If you go to www.tourismwebinar.com, you can find this webinar as well as many others, part 1 and 2, and some very interesting, very difficult topics being covered there that are interesting to watch. Even in this one, we have approached the topic of human trafficking and some of the uglier sides, which really need to be addressed. I am Bea Broda, and I'm your moderator for this series. And how I came to be involved in this is I have been a talk show host in my life. After a degree in psychology, I got into television. And for 5 years, I interviewed movie stars and authors and everyone that came to this station. And after the 5 years, I got involved in travel television, which I've been doing, dare I say, since 1987. So it's a long time, where I've been to as many as 15 countries a year. As you do this, you can't help but see so much of a country, not just from the surface anymore. And it led me to dig deeper into what makes a country tick. And one thing I think we all have to agree is that we find a lot more common ground than we find differences. And my job has always been to communicate that, even in a very simple way, even to show the food or the pottery or just the lifestyle of the people that are there really shows the heart of it. And we're going to find out more about that in this session because community tourism is something that people are looking for. They don't want the gloss and the glamour so much anymore. They want to find out who's there. They want to find out about the people. So in the course of my TV shows, I would say that I have done that. And I've made so many friends in every pocket of the world. My current series is called Out of Town Adventures, and there are 3 seasons, 39 shows, which can be seen on Amazon Prime in English-speaking countries, and hopefully that will expand further. And I just got back from Guadalajara in Mexico, and I did a tour mainly of the artisanal or indigenous culture, basically expressed through art, design, and ceramics. And it was beautiful for me to see that. I've certainly seen the ruins of some of the Mexican artifacts, but to see the people that have been there all the way along and what they're producing now is what my next show about Guadalajara will be about. So having said all that, I do welcome you to the program, and I encourage you to listen to all of the 5 speakers that we have today. We're going to start with someone whose name is actually synonymous with community tourism. She's the queen of community tourism, and that is Diana McIntyre Pike, who I met because of my involvement in the International Institute of Peace through Tourism, where she is also a member and quite active. So I'm going to welcome Diana McIntyre Pike. Diana, the floor is yours.
Please unmute yourself, Diana.
I'm trying to do that. Okay. Thank you very much for honoring me today to be the first to lead the way forward for the Women's Voice in Tourism and for the invitation to share the passion, because that's what it's about, the passion of community tourism, which started way back when my mother was a pioneer of Negril, which is a resort in Negril in Westmoreland, Jamaica. And the mindset is what I want to address, because many people don't quite understand community tourism. They think that community tourism is just something that you're going to develop with communities. Just a minute. Yeah, just something that you're going to develop with communities. And it's not as straightforward as that. The mindset is that you must recognize that community tourism is community development. It has to do with having a passion for incorporating the community lifestyle with any vacation experience, even from a large hotel. And I'm proud to say that Sandals got the message clearly that this is the way to go. And I am happy that they formed the Sandals Foundation, because that Sandals Foundation has helped many communities all over Jamaica and the Caribbean area in realizing their projects and being able to give them the support. Now, the Country Style Community Tourism Network has had tremendous support from the International Institute for Peace through Tourism. When they discovered us way back when, you know, I don't want it to be like I'm an old person, but, you know, I've been involved for a long time, community tourism over 45 years at my small hotel. And when Lou D'Amour came and visited me, he said, look, I like what you're doing, because we were the ones who branded the community tourism. And he took us to Montreal to do a presentation on community tourism. And it was for 800 delegates from over 70 countries. Very exciting. And when he saw what the reaction was, he decided that he was going to set up the IIPT International Community Tourism Network, and I was appointed the coordinator. And the other good news was that he never had any chapters outside of North America. So we were the first chapter, the very first chapter, and I was appointed the IIPT Caribbean president, which I still remain. So I must be doing something good for me to still be there. Because you saw we're tied in very well with the Peace Village program that the IPT has. We have now taken it beyond just calling community tourism. We have a relationship now with the diaspora, Caribbean diaspora, Jamaican diaspora, making connections work. That's what MCW stands for. And what is exciting about this is that the diaspora recognize that they have to help to lead the way forward for community tourism, not just in Jamaica, but the Caribbean. So I don't need to read all of this, but it's basically transforming local communities. And it's a collaborative leadership and management delivery system for creating a lifelong 21st century leadership skills legacy and inspiring inclusive, peaceful, caring and enterprising clusters within neighborhoods for youth development, community economic well-being, digital innovation, sustainable engineering, and civic participation. The program we have is called Villages as Businesses, where we educate the people to manage their community as a business, and we now have a positive relationship with the UII Open Campus in Jamaica for training community persons in entrepreneurship. We're calling it community economic tourism now. And we're showing them that the economic livelihood can be realized in their own environment. And we just received a grant from the US Embassy to train 130 communities island-wide. And we're going to make a start with that in July. It's a 5-day program. And, you know, quite frankly, in 5 days, we can change a mindset. And in addition to that, we're setting up the Community Tourism Trust Fund. Now, this is exciting. The Community Tourism Trust Fund will be a part of every vacation experience. And it is an investment fund that will be led by the diaspora, registered in North America, And the interest from that will go towards community projects and businesses so that we have money easily available for exciting, talented people within the communities. This will happen before the end of this year. We'll make the announcement, and the IPT has given us a lot of support for this. And we look forward to the support of anybody who is here, because we're not taking it only in the Caribbean, we want to take it beyond there. We feel that it is time for us to rebuild tourism in a very positive way. And people think that because of the COVID, it's a negative situation. For us, it's not. What has happened is that it has now opened the doors, because even the Maldives Islands have asked to be a chapter for country-style villages and businesses, and we invited the IPT to look at them as a chapter. So they're now a chapter of the IPT, because whatever we do, we're not leaving out the IPT, because the IPT is very consistent with whatever we have done, and we're very appreciative of the support. Finally, I just wanted to mention that we have a number of interesting projects. We have now appointed a new vice president for marketing and project development. And why that was required is because we are trying to set up a database of projects that can be displayed on our website. And what is going to happen is that people who want to come on vacation or just interested, they can scroll down and see what they're interested in. We even have a pick a project, and we have an adopt a village program. We had, for example, 9 groups with pick a project. There they want to incorporate the project with the vacation experience. So the niche marketing that we have identified is amazing. We have over 40 niche markets, and we are not having anybody separate us from what is there now. We have a real problem with the word resort, because resort says something different. It says something that is man-made. We are more supportive of village experience, and some of the hotels that are being built now are realizing that they don't have to call themselves a resort to get business. To get business now, you need to show that you're identifying with the culture, the heritage, and the lifestyle of the people. And we are ready to go, and we're excited to go, and we are consultants, and our entrepreneurship training that we have is available to anywhere in the world. And we have a great group of consultants that covers culture, heritage, and environment, name it. So I'm very happy to be here, and thank you very much for the invitation.
Diana, that was wonderful. And I wonder if you could give us an example of a very popular project within that.
Sorry, what did you say?
I was wondering if you could give us an example of one of the more popular projects that people seem to be flocking to.
Oh, okay. We had a very popular project where we have 2 study tours from universities and colleges that they come. Like we've had 3 groups. We've had nursing groups, and they come for 2 weeks, and they plan their vacation with us. We design the whatever interest they have. So I would think that was the most popular one that we have. Because of COVID, we had to do things in a virtual way. But I think I should mention that I got the top award from Responsible Tourism Award in 2008 from the World Travel Market. And why I mention it is because that is what put us in a positive light with TUI, because I tied with TUI for the Personal Responsibility Tourism Award. Now, TUI made a contract with us for 3 years with one of our communities called Orange Bay in the Negril area, Hanover Parish. And why they liked it is that what they experienced, the first stop was a hairdressing salon. Then from the hairdressing salon, they went to the basic school. Then from the basic school, they went to the prep school. Then from the prep school, they went to the church. And then from the church, they went to the community bar, where they drank good rum punch, the right rum punch, I say, because we have a special way of doing it in Jamaica. And then they went to the community restaurant, and we did a little dancing after that. And then they walked down to the pastry shop to get their pastry for dessert. Now, why I'm describing this is that nothing was set up for tourists. This is the lifestyle of the people, and every stop got money from the tour. So can you imagine how good it was that the community saw that their lifestyle was appreciated? But the best part is that these people who came and experienced this became market ambassadors, and they went back. They were staying at all inclusive hotel, and they went back and told others, and they came back again and had a party at the bar. They also took people to the restaurant because they felt comfortable. Because what we do is show them how it is very comfortable to have this experience. So I just want you to know that that is a winner. It's the TWI experience, and they want to come again with us, but we're just trying to sort out some of the technical things that we have to do with the new era. Okay.
What a fantastic way to experience the real authentic Jamaica. And you know, this has been your passion for a very long time. In fact, I think if you look in the dictionary under community tourism, your picture's there. So you've been applauded, and I believe there's a lot of people that want to model their marketing after what you've done. And it's certainly a wonderful way forward. So thank you so much for taking the time. I know you do a lot of these, so we appreciate that you made it this morning. Now, I understand you work with Beverly Henry, who's also involved with the community tourism with you. And she's had a long career, 40 years or so in education, and she's worked with chambers of commerce and has so much experience that she'll tell us about, but that now she's involved with this initiative in Jamaica. So now I give the floor to Beverly Henry.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to have to leave. But thank you very much. There'll be a recording, I'm sure, of this. Will you send it to us? Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Diana. We have a little tag team here, which is great.
Yes. Thank you
Hi,
so very
Beverly.
much. I'm now sitting in a seat that is a hot seat because Diana has done so much for so many with community tourism that I think there are very few people who can actually sit in her seat.
Now tell us about how you got involved there, because your career has led you all over the place, including Canada, I see. And now you're involved with cultural development in Jamaica. So tell us about what inspired you that way.
Well, first of all, thank you for having me on. I have been involved with education all my life. So I think this was natural because for community tourism and for the community to understand exactly what they can do and what can happen to enhance their lives, it does involve some form of education. So I think that is where my segue into the program was. So that is the basic of it. And then being able to deal with the people in the Caribbean, in Jamaica, and to know exactly what happens, have something to do with the history, the culture, and to be able to expand and extort on that. Those are things that I think are very necessary for anyone wanting to do anything with tourism, and especially community tourism.
Now, would you say that mostly women are involved in community tourism? Are they the ones organizing it?
It's a mixture because everybody's involved in a community, whether it is that they are the mainstays or that they come on in. Because the men, for example, will go get the food, will take care of erection of booths or whatever it is that we need to have. And the women, therefore, will now come on in with the food, the men participate in the dances and all of those cultural experiences that are necessary for persons to understand exactly what it is that we do in our entire lives.
Now, one thing that's true about villages and you know, places that are off the beaten track of popular tourism is that it's usually the women that are involved in doing crafts and running these villages. So would you say that what you're doing is elevating their position, elevating their economics?
Yes,
what
definitely.
What you're doing for women?
Definitely, because men are regarded more as the breadwinners. But in Jamaica, as I believe in many other Caribbean countries and other countries across the world, there are lots of single parent families, which are usually led by women. So they have to juggle their entire lives, juggle the children, juggle the work, ensure that there's food. Yes, the men are going to do something with that, but the women are definitely the dominant factor in community tourism and what we do too, because we have to show them that beyond what they're doing, it is not just a matter of saying, I'm going to do this, I'm going to get tired, I'm going to go to sleep, I get up and I do the same thing tomorrow and the next day and the next day, but that they are able to say, oh, I am producing something, I'm ensuring that the world sees what we can do as women, but also what we can do as a community. So I think it is beyond just the male dominance into having the females as being a great part of the tourism experience.
So if people are then going to these villages and experiencing Jamaica from this different way outside of the all-inclusive resorts, then that's got to improve the lot of women. Are there statistics to bear this up?
I'm sorry, I don't have the statistics at my fingerprints, but
yes,
it definitely does have an impact on the entire society, because when we can contribute to the GDP to ensure that we are doing something that we feel satisfied with, that we are able to pass it on to our children and our community at large, and to those who are coming into our system, then definitely it is showing that we are able to do something to enhance the GDP of the country and make sure that whatever is done is something that can be replicated elsewhere.
that sounds so great. And to get visitors to understand the value of some of these things, which perhaps they weren't even exposed to, I think is one of the key things. So what's your next project moving forward with this?
Well, we are working with the communities for business and ensuring that what they are able to do is something that can be sustainable. We are able to work with the University of the West Indies and also in this particular area with Northern Caribbean University, which has an entrepreneurial center. It has been around for more than 100 years. And it is also one that has shown that the dignity of work is something that we can ensure that you don't have to feel bad about it. You don't have to be rich in order to get an education. You don't have to be rich in order to meet with people. As you are able to do whatever you need to do and therefore be able to expand, expound, and do the things that will help to improve the society.
I think you really hit the nail on the head with those words, the dignity of work. So it does give people that increased self-esteem, and that's got to go a long way in raising the happiness level in Jamaica and all over the Caribbean.
Definitely, because when you interact with individuals, when you are one who can say to persons, this is what I do for a living, this is what I do, come taste my food, come into my home, come see the crafts that I make, purchase them, take home and show what we are doing here in Jamaica. This is what we did, our forefathers did. This is how we made the bamis, which is a cassava-based product that we eat with our national dish, for example, or ackee and saltfish. And this is something that you can dry and it can be used to sustain us if we're having a drought, if there's a hardship with food. There's so many things. And we go back to our African heritage, we go back to our Indian and Chinese and European heritage. We are a grand mixture of cultures that is so aptly spoken of in our motto, out of many, one people, showing the various areas that we draw from in order to make our Jamaican people.
Well, I do applaud you on this initiative. It's just wonderful. And as I know, a lot of people are adopting this model now to elevate some of their villages, to make their country stronger. So congratulations to you.
Yeah, because this is vital, because especially in this age of COVID and the challenges that we are having, and even if COVID goes away tomorrow, we'll still need this model that we can use to enhance our peoples across the world, because we need to make sure that we are sustainable, We are able to pass on our heritage, our culture, our foods, the way we live, and our mores and our values. These are all important for us as individuals.
Certainly is. Once again, I love those words, the dignity of work. And often it's that women's work that was just dismissed as being the stuff that had no value. So I'm happy to see that it's increasing in its value. I have a cute story. When I was in Mexico last week, I went to look at some artisans that were doing that lovely huichol beadwork. I don't know if you've ever seen it, but it can be little bracelets, or it can be huge necklaces, or it can be animals, but it's all made of millions of little beads. And they asked me to actually try and make something that what they were working on. And I took the needle, and it literally took me a minute just to stab that one bead. And they stabbed thousands, if not millions of those beads. And you know, someone goes to a market and expects to get a piece like that for $1 or $2. And I think that once you actually try, once you get involved, once you look around and see and understand what's there, it changes your attitude about it. It certainly did change mine. I mean, I bought a little hummingbird for $14 once, and I wouldn't sell it for $14 because it would have taken me 10 years to make it. So anyways, that brings me into a nice segue into our next speaker today, and that's Liliana Aceves, who is a friend of mine. Actually, I'm a past president of the Society of American Travel Writers, and when my convention was held in 2010, it was in Guadalajara, and Liliana was the one that arranged all of the tours. There were 350 travel media for which all sorts of different tours needed to be arranged. So that was my first meeting with Liliana, and she has since stayed quite a dear friend. And what she is involved with is really amazing. When you call the Guadalajara Tourist Board, they call Liliana a goddess. She's the goddess of the tours of Guadalajara. And you can easily see why, because her passion is Mexico. But I would love to introduce you now to Liliana Aceves. Liliana, the floor is yours.
Buenos dias, everybody. Good morning for me, at least. I know it's not morning for many of you. Yes, I know Bea, I love Bea, and this is where she spent last week, which is, we're already missing her. But anyway, thank you. And I'd like to begin by telling you a little story. For me, everything's about little stories. And my little story, my personal story, is that my father was born in Guadalajara, and he was transferred from the company he worked for. It was called Burroughs Corporation. It was an American manufacturer of business equipment. They transferred him to Caracas, Venezuela. This is where he met my mother. They got married, and soon after I was born. And I was a year old, and then we fly over to Buenos Aires, Argentina. They transferred him again, and a brother and a sister were born there. And then 2 years after that, transferred him to Birmingham, Michigan in the US. And yes, another sister was born there. And I have been there in Michigan for 5 years. So I started my kindergarten, first, second, third grade there. That's why my English may sound a bit American. But 5 years after that, my father said, I can't be away from my country any longer. He quit his job, which was very successful, and we all moved to Guadalajara. And here we are. And the important thing here is that every time one of his children was born anywhere, he would run to the Mexican consulate, register us, and all our birth certificates say Mexican born abroad. This is how much he loved his country. This is what I have in my blood, and this is why I am so passionate about what I do. Oh, and by the way, guess what? We moved to Guadalajara, 3 more brothers were born. Total of 7. So this is a typical Mexican family back in the days, not anymore. But every time we get together. Hasn't been that way for a bit because of what we all know, but every time we're together is a complete fiesta. So when I was old enough to know what I wanted to do for a living, the first thing I said was, I'm going to go and study tourism. I have a degree in tourism from the University of Autónoma of Guadalajara. And then after that, I said, I'm going to continue and become a licensed tour guide, because there's nothing in the world I'd rather do or I want to do more than share the love I have for my country with anybody that visits Mexico. So I've been a tour guide for many, many years. And I'd like to tell you something which is quite interesting about my culture. When I started working, and this is in the late 80s, I started traveling. It was like I would look around, there weren't any women around. Where were women in tourism back then? They were in travel agencies. They were in the lower positions of the government tourism department. They were the ones that would greet you at the airports and things like that. They were there for a while, just as they finished maybe their degree, and they were there waiting for the boyfriend to come along, to get married, to leave what they were doing, and to dedicate their lives to their homes and having children. That's what it was like. So I was one of the few that remained over the years and grew old with this passion I have for tourism. I did get married. I did have 3 boys, but I was very fortunate because whenever I had to travel, my parents were here, so they would spend time with the grandparents. And of course, my siblings would fight for to have the children around. So for me, it was like trying to push things around, because sometimes I would be frowned upon. Other ladies would look at me and say, oh, you left your kids to go to work. You went out and you traveled for 3 days and the kids were with their grandparents. What is that? But what it is it was a way of supporting them. I had to support them 100%. And that was what I wanted to do. That's what I liked to do. That's what I knew how to do. So that's what I did. The years have gone by, and now my children are all grown up. I have one that is married because I started extremely early. I got married at 16. I'm not doing that again. And I have a son who is married with 2 little boys. So I have 2 grandsons now. And my 3 sons are grown up. They're men. They're all on their own, independent. Actually, my youngest one is living in Shanghai. So I am very free to move around, to travel, to do what I love. And now I have decided to combine it with my second love, which is the holistic approach to life. That balance, that look as a human being as a whole, that balance between body, mind, and soul. So I combine that. And as I'm also a therapist, I have a specialty in magnetic bioresonance. I do something that is called foot washing, which is a very ancient healing tool. And I work with crystals and quartz and Reiki. So what I'm doing now is combining both aspects of Mexico as a country with actually over 34 UNESCO World Heritage Sites, with many ancient cultures. And still to this day, we have 68 native languages that are still spoken. So it is the country that has such a large and wonderful variety of things to do and see. Every one of the 32 states is like a country within itself. Different food, different people, different music, different ancient cultures, different colors, different everything. So for me to show my country is a blessing. And in order for me to combine it with my other passion, which is that holistic, that balance, that knowing that if you are with a high frequency vibration, you will be a better person, you will be healthier, you will be happier. So the tours and the programs that I am now working on, many of them directed specifically to women, mainly because we know what we need. Women now all over the world are becoming more aware of that need to be better, to be happier. They now know the things that are needed in order for them to grow, to be more aware. So our programs are, for example, just to give you an idea, Mexico has many energy magnetic places where we have energy vortexes, and B could tell you about one of them that I took her to last week, and we've gone there a couple of times at least. And we go to this place in this specific program for women. We spend time there. We explain that everything in the universe is actually energy at a certain vibrating at a certain frequency. So understanding this is helping us understand that we can decide if we want to be well or not. It depends on us. So we do the meditation workshops. We help them understand the use and properties of crystals and quartz, which are my favorite tools in the entire world. We also do a lot of cultural things. We go into the homes of the people and do home hosted dinners so they could really immerse themselves in the culture, understand the traditions. And then we, of course, as women, do our needed bit of shopping as well, and of dancing and singing. So it is something that is increasing in a way that women now are understanding that they must look after themselves, look after their heart, their soul, their desires, their dreams. I must tell you that today I still work for several companies, especially from Mexico City, that do all the European, from the US and from Canada. I work for several companies that do group travel. And of course, this is on it's on a recess. It hasn't been going on for the past year because of COVID, of course. But I must tell you, with all these companies, I am the only woman tour guide. They all hire Mexican tour guides. And in one of them, which is a very important big American company that does group travel, we are a total of 15 Mexican tour guides that do their tours to several parts of Mexico. And I am the only lady in between the group of 15 men tour guides. So this may be an example of the percentage of how women to this day, there are many that go into their university and care about their career and their degree, and they don't necessarily see marriage and children as their priority. This is now something new. They don't necessarily think they must have children, which was something that our parents and grandparents told us. I can tell you that being the oldest of 7, having 2 sisters, we're 3 girls and 4 boys, having 2 sisters, my mom would tell us, go make your brother's bed. Give your dad a glass of water. Go wash your brother's dishes, things like that. This was, I must say, a society that women would make macho. It was us, it was the mothers. And things are slowly changing. Women are finally saying, hey, wait a minute, you know what? You're just as good at washing dishes that I am. And now you see the families walking out, because still to this day, Mexico is a very, very family-oriented country. But now you see the fathers holding the babies, and I've gone into these restaurants where they have the tables to change the baby's diapers outside the bathrooms, and it's the fathers I see now doing it. And now I have my own son, and he's the one that is in charge of bathing and feeding and making the lunchbox and things like that. So I do see a change, but it's taken a long time. And still to this day, you are probably a witness to the fact that most of the women you see either in hotels or government offices or wherever involved with tourism are very young. And this is because there is still a percentage, especially in tourism, of women that their priority is to get married and to have children. So I don't know if we will see a drastic change in Mexico because of our traditions, because of our extremely family-oriented vision, which I love, by the way. This is something I love, but this is something that has made me fight and struggle more than many other women in my country. So I am extremely happy to be a tour guide in Mexico. I do tours throughout the country. My license is the type of license that allows me to travel and show people from the very north to the south of Mexico. So I do travel with groups, Copper Canyon and colonial cities and all the Pacific and the Yucatan Peninsula and the Mayan Riviera and the southern or southeastern part of the country. And I absolutely love the differences, the different people. And I can look around and tell you if I'm walking around my city, I look around and I know exactly where the person, because of their indigenous suit and their ways, I know where they're from. So this is something I love and I will continue doing until the strength allows me to. And I will always combine it with that holistic approach. So thank you so much. And I'm here. Whatever you need in Mexico, please let me know.
Gracias, Liliana. And you've managed to do both. You have a very concentrate towards foreign engine based, and that it's more women that really like to work with crystals and heat and that sort of thing. So so you've kind of got it all covered there. It's in a beautiful, beautiful way. So and then just one last question. In general, do you see that there are a few more women getting involved in this than you saw, say, 20 years ago in Mexico?
I would say yes. And that is why we see more and more of the girls that are just out of university. They're all very young. So you see many more young women than older women.
I see. Yes, that makes sense. Okay, great. Well, thank you so much, Liliana, for sharing your story. It's a great story. So next we have Dr. Mariam Janet. Thank you. And she's got a different take. She's a geologist and she is living in Iran. And geotourism is something that is her specialty amongst other things, but we will let her explain it to you. Maria Giammi. Take it away.
Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm glad to be with you all this webinar. In 1950, the world had 25 million tourists, but in 2018, there was 1.2 billion tourists in the world, whole world, with $3,000 billion turnover, okay? Which is among the first 5 job opportunity in the world. About 20% of the global jobs are in the tourist industry, but the majority of this business to among the first industrial country. About 80% of the workforce are ladies. But most of them are not educated. They are simple workers, okay? Forecasted that in year 2 billion traveler will be in the whole in the world with $7,000 billion. But Middle East and North Africa means MENA region. But Middle East and North Africa has a very small percentage in the business. They are 53 countries in this region, mostly Islamic country with low development rate. So tourism activities in this region shall promote this tourism industry business for the benefit of the women society. I started my business activity for 8 years ago. I was born in a city in Iran called Isfahan, which is a capital of art, culture, industry, and tourism activity in a whole MENA region, Middle East and North Africa. MENA region. We have 7,000 years history and civilization, and there is more than 20,000 historical buildings in Isfahan state. But for many reasons, there is not enough tourists in this city per years. More than 50% of Iranian population are women, but in universities, more than 60% are women. Iran has the highest rate in women percentage in university. This is an advantage, but the majority of these graduated are not at work. Sorry. What we shall do in Iran and Middle East to improve? The ladies is going to this industry in the MENA region and invite as much as we can get from all over the world. The neighbors are their first priority. Tourism grows peace among the nations, and this is what we need more than ever in the region. I'm working so hard in Iran for geotourism, accessible tourism, and gem handcraft. I had a blind boy. My son is blind. present in work at accessible tourism. Okay. Seen more 20% of handcraft of board is in Isfahan, and it is a center for jewelry industry. We are emphasizing in gem handicraft. We support a small size business, SEM, mostly working at home and mostly single mom parents and ladies. So let us help each other by friends market for our produce for proper tourism industry. Tourism empower ladies for dialogues among the nations, and this will help them for job opportunity, and the more they get involved in the society, they more and they know, they also know this year is named by UNWTO tourism and rural development, and we have a very artist atmosphere in Iranian village since they produce the best Persian carpet in the world, and it is all by lady. So ladies and tourism industry is two-way road, so the more we improve tourism industry, the more we ladies, and this is the voice of Iranian ladies to the world that please help my to achieve job and peace by tourism industry. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mariam. You were saying that like some 60% of people at the university are women. Do you have any idea what they're studying mainly? What kind of courses?
Yes.
What?
Yes, a woman like to study at university because don't married.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, they don't married, and we don't have any work, and stay at home. They stay at home for studying and studying and studying. Sorry.
I see. Oh, that's great. There's nothing like an educated community. That's great. Well, thank you. You know, I'm going to look more into geotourism because I never really thought of that. But it's something that I sort of do because I love going to the places where there are natural quarries and finding out about the stones of a particular country and why they're there and what happened in the Ice Age and that sort of thing. So, and then it ends up in the architecture because that's what they have to build with. So
yes,
it's definitely very fun.
This gem handicraft is built my company. It is a stone, opal, yes, and poem Hafiz, yes, okay, and this silver, okay, silver with a stone, and geotourism about geology, geopark. Do you know geopark?
Yes.
Yes. Discussion about geopark, geotourism, geomorphology, and mountain, cave. These studies modern and after ecotourism, geotourism, but now nature tourism is two branch, ecotourism and geotourism. Ecotourism discussion lives موجود live things about fish, insects, birds watching has ecotourism. But go to the desert, go to the mountain, go to the cave is a geotourism.
Mhm, mhm.
In Iran, Qesh Geopark has registered in UNESCO, and Iran have 25 geopark.
Oh,
Yeah, yes,
that's exactly.
but
That's-
not in the UNESCO. Yes, 2 geopark has in the UNESCO.
Good old
Thank you
UNESCO
very
can
much.
always understand the value in things. So thank you so much for letting us know about that. And just to tie in with UNESCO, because our next speaker has overseen a UNESCO Creative Cities project, and she's also very much involved in sustainable cultural tourism. She's from Japan, but she's living in Italy, and she's a very busy lady. Yukako Saito, welcome to the webinar.
Hello everyone. Thank you, Vera, for this extremely honorable opportunity. And I feel now like it's such a privilege just to be the last part of this session, because I had so much inspiring story that I didn't even expect to hear that story, like Lilian, about Mexico, which is amazing. You know, what you use as the words like land energy or magnetic energy of the nature, which is something I'm really love to create the program in Japan. So I feel like I'm immediately, you know, flying to Mexico if it's possible to do right now. But I think anyway, this is a great opportunity to making this beautiful networking among all beautiful ladies for the women working in the tourism industry. And I'm not the only one working in, in the tourism industry in Japan, but I could say still quite minority. And then also someone who working in, you know, very internationally or globally is quite limited. So I think I'm extremely honorable to be here today. And then I especially, you know, pleased to acknowledge and thanks to Laza of IIPT for this amazing opportunity, first of all. Thank you. So let me share my slide and images for my past works. This is a slide here. Okay. So again, I'm Yukako Saito. I'm the CEO of GEN, stand for Genuine Education Network. So before I get into my company in detail, let me summarize my journey leading up to it, like other ladies. I grew up in Japan, and after 10 years in the internet industry in Tokyo, that Fukushima tsunami, you remember what happened in 2011, triggered a life-changing event. And then I moved as a single mom with 2 children to Europe in 2011. And I feel like I'm a Japanese living in Italy, but I feel more like a kind of immigrant. But immigrant not in economically wise, but more in environmental immigrant. Trying to find out a great ecosystem, a healthy nature environment for my children's as a mom. So I graduated with an MA in food culture communication and marketing at University of Gastronomic Science in Piemonte. And then I graduated afterwards. I was really had a great privileges to be the first non-European to be selected under the Italian government innovative startup program and founded my company GEN in Milano. And also afterwards, I really lucky to be a partner of UNESCO Creative Cities in Japan. There is a city called Tsuruoka, which is still only one designated city as a UNESCO Creative City of Gastronomy in Japan. We have spent 4 years for very intensive program building and networking. And we are trying to promote in the value of the Japanese food culture as an intangible national heritage of UNESCO with Japanese ministry. So, sorry, this is the, probably my slide was very delayed, sorry. But this is that what is like the Tsuruoka city. And then you see that the quite much, remaining of untouched nature, the kind of environment, and also the food culture. So through my culture and my research, I realized the importance of food culture as the key link to the living system and society. So this has the primary inspiration behind the GEN to offer traditional ecological food-related community-based tourism for global sustainability, focusing on ecosystem restoration. So if you allow me to share the video, do you have enough time to do there?
As long as the
No?
video. I
Yeah,
think
it's 1 minute something.
Oh,
Can
that's
I?
great.
Yeah, just as a yes. So this is what this look like, the Tsuruoka cities. So we are focusing on gastronomy program and then specialize on the culinary technique also, but it's more about biodiversity and sustainability and behind this culinary culture. Well, we're trying to create really holistic program, including even like land energy or spirituality, and all about intercultural relationship with the nature in Japan. And so far we have participants more than 30 different countries. And then I feel extremely lucky to have a very much, high professionals, higher, career people, and with a lot of motivation for shifting the world for the better in the, sustainable and natural, ecosystem. Okay. So that is what we have tried to do as a Japanese, local-based eco-tourism and local-based community program providers. But today, of course, we would like to talk about women's role in the Japanese, tourism industry. So let me go deeper into this topic from now. So these authentic and culture immersive study trip programs have been offered to the diverse group. Through these experiences, what I could find out is most valuable in our Japanese tradition is all about that ecosystem and in Japanese ecosystem in order to live in harmony with nature. And also they are not only harmonizing, but also trying to return all resources back to the nature. This type of circular economy system is quite crucial and is something what we shouldn't lost in the future and something what we should tell it to the world. And then often I have feedback of experience in Japan by, all our participants, like phrases like very, very distinguished words like meticulous. This is the first sentences they gave me as a feedback. In other words, is of course harmonious. And another word is devotional culture. So I think I personally take it this is, feedback as the most successful sign of my program, because it is only able to reach by the deep interaction, deep interactive communications with the local people. So the interaction with tourists and stranger brings new idea to individuals and then communities. And these contacts are important and expanding social capital in isolated elder society, which is the current major problem in Japan rural area right now. I believe that women's contribution to the local community is very, very important and indispensable in a sense of creating the face-to-face warm interaction like this. And Japanese women's role in the tourism is highly established actually in their caring skill and managed heart, which was thought to make them superior for hospitality work, which involves more than in most industry. So as you've seen in this photo, many of top level of hotels or even the restaurants hire women as a manager. This is the tradition and a historical fact in the tourism industry in Japan. But I know in many Asian countries, the gender role stereotype with women often to be concentrated in lower paid role like a cleaning ladies or waitress job. But I think in that sense, I could say Japanese women has been in more creative, has been a more lucrative and advantageous professional in the tourism industry in Japan. And above all, I strongly believe that Japanese women are the powerful cultural storyteller for developing local tourism while they keep in the harmony of their own ecosystem. So there's a great example in the Mie Prefecture, which is not too far from Osaka, Kyoto, but it's quite untouched cultures remaining area. And there is the Ama Fisher woman tradition. Okay, Ama Fisher women are increasingly well known abroad after, I think, G7 summit in 2016. So they are turning into a valuable draw to tourists, helping to pull some overseas visitors away from the more common destination like Tokyo or Kyoto. And that is located to the Shima Peninsula in Mie Prefecture, is home to about 650 Ama women divers, the largest number in Japan, but yet it's still decreasing. The Ama tradition is more than 1,000 years old, and which is deeply associated that how they preserve their ocean and nature. And they dive to collect shell and food only by hand, and primarily like what she has in the right-hand side, like abalone and all sort of shellfish and seaweed, but only for a limited period. And they dedicated all those seafood to the most important Shinto shrine called Isejingu, with an appreciation for this gifted nature. So that system itself helped to averting excessive fishing and nature exploitation. So in between dives, they built ama huts, which is really like a simple, like a casual, like a, the place to take in rest. So where the woman can rest but socialize also and pass on their technique to the younger divers. And then to attract more overseas visitors, the Tourist Association support to runs Ama Hut for tourists for now. So now real Ama women can make a side business with this white traditional outfit to cook fresh seaweed in front of customers in the ama hut. So the places allow really people to listen in the real story of the real people and with this beautiful interaction. So this is like a very important role of Japanese women in, historically, traditionally in Japanese tourism industry. However, I have to share what all Japanese women are confronting now. So it's very sad to say, but Japanese totally failure to address gender equality and probably contradicted its images as a developed country. But Japan ranks 120th among 156 countries in the gender gap ranking this year. And the woman working part-time was almost twice that of men, and the average of Japanese women income was 43.7% lower, almost half than the Japanese men. So above all the pandemic, this drastically hit the economy, and which is an ongoing problem. And then especially hit the industry staffed by women, of course, like tourism and retails and food industry. So Japan has seen a large rise in the single woman living alone, many of them choosing that over marriage, which entails quite tradition and conservative gender roles. It just probably sounds a little bit like, I don't know, the other country in South America or the other Asian country, but we are not really developed country in the sense. So that maybe become the reason for further isolating the elder community with no resilience for supporting each other in the future. So this is really something we have to take an action right now. So as a conclusion, I insist that women's role is crucial in local communities' recovery after pandemic and development as cultural storyteller and also caretaker of both society and nature in Japan. So I strongly believe that tourism can be the gendered social catalyst for shifting the Japanese society to the next level. This is what I really aim, and then I try to contribute as a next step. Thank you very much. Thank you for this opportunity there, and thank you for listening all.
Thank you so much, Yukako. That was so interesting. And I think that the survival of, well, the planet, but of tourism, is to get tourism away from all of the popular centers. Over tourism, as we've all talked about and heard about, is the thing that is destroying things. But so people are shifting more towards looking at these ama fishermen, these ladies, or into the villages. And I think that is how tourism will survive. I just love what you said here. I wrote it down. Women, the caretakers of society and environment in local community tourism. So it is that essence of the female nature that is so important to gently, kindly lead the planet into better tourism and to better understanding of each other. And of course, ultimately peace, which is something that's bringing us all together here. I have one little encouraging piece of news that I just read in the paper yesterday. There's a huge class action lawsuit against Amazon in the hundreds of millions of dollars because some women found through a great deal of research that many men in their positions were making less money. So sometimes as much as $16,000 a year, the same position, the different salaries. So it's gone through, and Amazon has to pay this class action lawsuit of hundreds of millions of dollars. So there are things that can happen to change things. That was, of course, in the United States, and I guess things are different everywhere. And I suppose where society has these roles entrenched it is more difficult to shake out of it. But it's people like you guys that are going to help change that. Everything we do, every ounce of passion that we commit to what we do is going to make a difference. It really does. So I would like to thank you all for sharing your stories, and wish you all the best in your careers, especially as we rebuild tourism. Thank you so very much, Diana McIntyre Pike, and Beverly Henry, and Liliana Aceves, and Yukaiko Saito, and Mariana Giami. And also I'd like to thank Reza Sultani, who's underneath this all, making sure everything goes right. I think here you are. And right after you moved from Laos to Belgium, so you're a little bit jet lagged, I'm sure. So it's great that you got this all organized.
Thank you, and thank you so much, Bea. And I think you are in Los Angeles now, early morning. So she had to wake up, I think 6 a.m. or so. So it is really great. And thank you so much. You have done a great job. And well, I think you are going to say that we are going to continue those webinars about the women in tourism. And
yes, for sure. And also these programs can be watched, as I was mentioning earlier, on tourismwebinar.com. And you can watch it on Instagram, on Facebook. It is widely available. And if anybody wants to get in contact with any of the speakers, if you go onto the website and you go into their names, there is a contact form. So all of this will be available, and we'll just keep this growing. I'd also like to thank Louis D'Amour, who's the president of the International Institute of Peace Through Tourism, IIPT, who really is at the top of this, and we're underneath that umbrella of going from peace to tourism. Or without tourism, there's no peace. Without peace, there's no tourism. So it works out very well. So thank you once again. Thank you for watching, and we hope to see you at the next webinar. Have a wonderful day. I think that's it.
Thank you.
It's a wrap.
Okay, thank you, everybody.
thank you very much,
Bye.
everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
So have a great day, and we'll talk again soon.
Yes,
you.
goodbye.
Bye.